You introduce me? Okay. Good morning. My new young friends. And I hope with all my heart that when I leave here today, you call me your friend. And I'll be happy. Because in French we say, l'union fait la force. Together we are strong. Alone we are nothing. Together. I like to make this world a better place for everyone. But I can't do it by myself. So I need all of you to help me. To continue what you learned from me today. It costs no more to be nice. And if you're nice to people, they'll be nice to you. If you're miserable and cranky, they don't like you. Life is not made like that. Life has ups and downs. But nothing will happen to you if you won't let it happen. And for the girls, I say, if you don't become the best friend of your future husbands, your marriage will fail. I could live with any woman. I believe every woman is made half good and half bad. And when I fall in love, I cultivate the good part, push away the bad. Perfect does not exist. Don't look for perfect. You're not perfect either. I'm not perfect. I'm married to a Greek woman. Can you imagine a Greek and a German? It's like day and night. But we are married for 71 years. Why? She's hot-blooded, me not so much. So when she shouts in the morning, I don't answer. 2 hours later, she rings me on my phone, and she apologized. And she says, "Why did I shout at you?" I said, "I don't know." It's lovely to be alive. You meet this morning the happiest and luckiest man, Eddie. I want to tell you how wonderful the life can be. But it's in your hand. Nobody will make it for you. In your hand. Here. There is your happiness. It won't fall from the sky. You. For 40 years, I go to nursing homes because I miss my mom so much all my life that I have established. I go to the same nursing homes. I get a list of the people, mostly women, who have no visitors. I am their visitor. I bring one flower. One flower is my garden. One little cake and some chocolate if they are allowed to. I have that in my pocket. Alone should be a stone. No one should be alone. That is the worst that you can have. You will hear in my story. And I do that because I miss my mom for 75 years. I was a young man in Germany, in a wonderful city, a large family. My mom from 13 children, 7 daughters and 6 sons. My father from 5 and 5. In 1945, when I ran away from my last camp, I was alone. I had no one. I had 2 chances. Or I killed myself, or I started a new life. And I started a new life. Ha ha, here I am. Wonderful, healthy, nearly 98 years old, and I can walk like you. Not as fast, but it's wonderful to be alive. So when you're down, because life is not like that, it has ups and downs, what I said. You think of Eddie, and your troubles are like that. No more. You have no troubles. Yes, you have troubles if you drink too much and your kidney get bad. See? A joke. So I went to a school called Leibniz Gymnasium. A wonderful school, 2,900 pupils, one Jew, me. My father went to that school and my grandfather. And in 1933, 6 months after Adolf Hitler came to power, I was chucked out of school. Out. You're not German anymore. I lived there only for the last 400 years, my family tree. Why? Why? All my life I ask why. And I haven't found an answer yet. And I'll never find an answer. There is no answer. This is why I want to change you to become better people than you are already. Because I am proof that even what happened to me, he could break my bones, not my head, not my spirit, and not my mood. I didn't become nasty. No, in the contrary. My revenge is not to hate. You have to promise me now that you will never use the word hate again from today. You will say, I don't like her. But I don't hate her. Please. Hate is a disease. That is how Hitler has made out of a wonderful population of Goethe and Schiller, of Beethoven and Mozart, to become murderers. Murderers. Millions of Germans were involved in killing people like me. It's only because of my profession. I make surgical instruments. I'm a precision engineer, that I am alive. So I want you also to remember this. Put as much as possible in this little head. It will shape your life. And might even save your life, like mine. I'm 98, nearly, and I'm still learning. Can you imagine how big this machine in your brain is? Here? A brain is like an empty field. You put something in, you get something out. You put nothing in, you get nothing out. That's the difference. It's up to you. We all are born with the same brain. Some takes longer, some takes shorter, but it doesn't matter. When I learned English at 12, I remember it says, if your task is hard, try again. Everything is possible. In French, we haven't got impossible. Nothing is impossible in French. So translate this, it's possible for all of you. I hope you grow up as a wonderful person. Help other people. I swear to you, one day you'll be rewarded like me. I'm happy. You know, every Wednesday, tomorrow, at 12 o'clock, I pick up my wife after I've finished in the Jewish Museum lecturing to schools. And I meet 10 ladies for lunch. I'm the only survivor. The 10 women have no more husbands. They're all dead. 10 women. When my wife is sad, I said, you're the only one who go home with somebody to talk to. The others go home to empty walls. They lost their husbands. They drank too much, they ate too much, and things like that, you know. You can shorten your life if you want, but if you look at me, I live every minute. Every minute is beautiful. Just seeing you gives me great pleasure. See, because I hope that I can impress you to learn from the past. The past is there. I am here. You're welcome to come to Sydney and talk to me, learn more. If you have problems, I am with you. I like to solve all your problems. There shouldn't be a problem. This is why I say friendship is the most important aspect of life. If you have a friend, don't do what everybody is doing. In French it calls éplucher. Today the people, when they have a good friend, after a while they start opening the scalp, and with a magnifying glass they look for faults. We all have faults. Friendship is unconditional. You have faults, I have faults, I want to be your friend. It is for life, like my marriage. My wife cannot destroy my marriage, because I don't let her. I'm strong. Doesn't look like. She thinks she's the boss. But she wants me to make the decisions. You know why? If it's wrong, it's my fault. But I don't mind. I don't mind. I haven't got so big shoulders, but I'm bigger than I look. So, my father, a wise man, was about 45 years old. He said to me, Eddie, don't worry. I will make you false papers. I became Walter Schleif, and I lived for 5.5 years in a boarding school, 860 kilometers from my city. And no one knew I was Jewish. You have no idea how lucky you are and how hard my youth was. For 5.5 years, I worked for Siemens and Carl Zeiss as an apprentice from 7 o'clock till 3:30. And from 4:30 is school. And I tell you, not school like here. It's like with a chisel and a hammer. And if you don't pass at the end of the year, you're out. In Germany, you don't choose your job, they choose your job for you by your result. So it doesn't know who you are. You cannot become what you want to become. They tell you after 1 or 2 years, if you make a good one, or become a sweeper off the floor, or drive a truck, but not a mechanic. That has good sides and bad sides. Like if you come to with dirty shoes to German school, 2 canes. Poof. A button is missing on your uniform, 3 canes. That's Germany. And no parents' association. Your father or mother could not complain. They sign a contract from Monday to Friday from 8 to 5, and Saturday from 8 to 12. They hand over their child for the education to the school. No interference. It has good part and bad part. So, that's why I say to you how many hours I was sleeping with other 19 people in a dormitory, 20 people. And if I'm supposed to be an orphan, what about if I call my mom or my dad or my sister in my sleep? They will know I have family. No. So at Siemens, I made myself a big lamp with 4 big batteries. And when the others went to bed, I went to bed too. I cover my head with my sheet, I switch on the light, and I study 2 hours, 3 hours, sometimes more, mathematics, science, and physics. Sometimes I fell asleep with the light on. So they said, you see this Walter? he's frightened of the dark. But I didn't care what they think, as long as they don't find out I am Eddie Jaku, not Walter Schleif. So you have no idea. Just to give you an idea, every 6 weeks, I go to the little city on a Sunday when we have no sport. I go to a warehouse like Davy Jones. I take the lift to the 8th floor, run across the other side, go to the 2nd floor, and make this movement 2, 3, sometimes 4 times before I'm sure that no one follows me. And then in a dark corner in the warehouse behind the curtain, there are 2 phones. You put money in. And I ring my lovely parents. It was 10 minutes more crying than talking. And my father said to me every time, Eddie, I know it's hard, but one day you'll be very grateful. I am. I swear to you, where I was in a camp called Auschwitz for 2 years. I was in many camps, but 2 years, where this number was put on my left arm. No name, number. I was condemned to die, but I didn't die. Ha! If I would come from home to this camp, I'm dead in 2 or 3 months. My mom used to clean my shoes, put toothpaste on my toothbrush. She done everything for me. I would have been finished. And I survived in this camp 2 years. And I became workshop manager of a big company. But first, on the 9th of November, 1938, I made the biggest mistake of my young life. I bought myself a ticket and made the 9-hour from where I was learning my trade and in boarding school to the city where I was born and where my parents lived. I come home on a Friday afternoon at 5:30. Lucky I had a key, otherwise I would sleep in the gutter. I opened the door, and there was my dog. His name was Lulu, L-U-L-U, a dachshund, dark brown. He recognized me. He jumped on my legs, he licked my legs. He was happy, and so was I. I was a very proud young German. I thought this was the best civilization could give to a young man like me. How wrong I was. I didn't know, I had no time in boarding school to listen to news or read newspapers. So busy I was. And I went to bed at 12:30 in a big house with my dog on the bottom. On the 10th of November, at 5 o'clock in the morning, 10 of the Nazis broke in the door of our house. And I swear to you, they bashed me to pieces. I said, Eddie, this is your last day on this earth. My pyjama was full of blood. And one fellow in his 40s took out his bayonet from his pouch, cut my left sleeve, and started to engrave a swastika in my skin. And as he was cutting, blood was running down to my fingers. My little dog saw the blood. He jumped on him. I don't know if he bit him or just scared him. He let me go, put the bayonet on his rifle, and killed my dog, shouting, ein Judenhund. That means a Jewish dog. Have you heard from a Jewish dog already? Now, these are not 17-year-old hoodlums who are snatching ladies' handbags. These are family men, men with wives and children, what they want from me. I came to my first concentration camp, Buchenwald, in Germany. 11,000 Jewish men only, came into this camp. When the commander saw me, he started crying. And he told his driver to take me to a hospital. He gave me a white sheet so I don't bleed in his Mercedes. And I was 2 days in a hospital 30 kilometers away without any guards. And I asked the nurse what would happen if I escape. I spoke French and English. And she says to me, "You've got parents?" "Of course I have parents." "Your parents will hang 10, 15, 20 minutes after they found out that you escaped, they hang your parents. How can I escape knowing because of me my parents would be killed? But if I would have known then my parents would be killed in any case, I would have escaped. Because at the end, I escape. So, 11,000 Jewish men in a tent on the floor. Our toilet was a hole in the ground, half this hole, and 2 trees across, and 25 sitting on each tree doing their business, and no paper to wipe your backside. I cut my sleeve of my shirt, and I made 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of rags. And every night I sneaked out from the tent, maybe 30 meters, was a small creek, and I washed my rags for the next day. Why? These men were scientists, lawyers, professors, surgeons, dentists, me, precision engineer. Why? I don't know why. Please, don't you ever don't follow a maniac, don't follow a fanatic. Please, all fanatics, doesn't matter which religion, are bad. Always ask yourself, German men are not men. In French, men is homme, H-O-M-M-E. I call the German man omelette. A man is a man who knows what is right and wrong. And if you don't, you'll never be a man in my book. You don't follow a madman, and you kill for no one. Yes, when you're a soldier, but not a civil person. I don't like everyone, but I don't hate. Not even the Germans. You see, my victory is I don't hate. Haha, I have all the reason to hate, but I don't hate. Otherwise, I couldn't be the man I am. I don't hate. If I'm German between you, you get from me the same respect than I expect from you. You have done nothing to me. But I like to meet you and to teach you. We all have to learn. So let's learn from my experience. I had a friend in boarding school because I am short for Germany. Germans are like Australian, tall, big. And I was short. So I found a friend. His name was Hans von Gaggenau. He was a descendant of the Kaiser. We have a queen. Germany had a Kaiser. And he was my friend. Every second or third week when we have no sport, he took me to his castle. His parents lived in a castle. He was not very bright, but he was good in sport. And he was my friend. So if somebody wanted to punch me in the nose, but they saw Hans, they walked away. So Hans helped me, and I helped him passing exams, mathematics, science, and physics. What do you think in Buchenwald? I'm there 5 months. Whom do I see? Hans. And Hans called me Walter. And I say, Hans, you became a guard? I spit on your shoe. And he was like that. Suddenly he saw somebody he knows. He knew me very well, like brothers. But he didn't know I'm Jewish. But there he couldn't resist. He wanted to help me, and he did. He went to the commander, and he says, there is Eddie Jaku. He is a fantastic tool maker, and we need tool makers. They called me in the office, and they say, is it true what Hans tells us? You want to work for us? Yes. To the rest of your life? Yes. Sign. They had a contract, and I signed. Now, the good part for me, the bad part for them. If they would take me from this camp to the factory, I would never be coming out. I would work for 12 hours on a very little food, and I would die. But they rang my dad. They asked my dad to come to pick me up on the 2nd of May, 1939 at 7 o'clock in the morning. And they said to him, take him home. So he spent a few hours with his mom. And afternoon, after lunch, you take him to a factory called Bleichert. They make rockets and aeroplanes. My father picked me up at 7 o'clock sharp. Not in his car, in a hired car. My father has not spoken to me for 9 hours that I was in the car. Whatever I asked, he didn't answer. He locked the car and he drove. I said to him, Dad, where are we going? This is not the way to home and not the way to the factory. He didn't answer, stumm. And he drove. It was already 7 o'clock at night. From 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night, my father drove, never stopped. And we stopped in a city called Aachen, which is the border between Germany and Belgium. We went to a restaurant and we had a lovely meal. And while we were eating, my dad got up and asked the owner of the restaurant for a phone number of a smuggler who can take us in the night to Belgium. The smuggler came, 12 o'clock. He took us in his car up the coast to Holland, and from Holland we went into Belgium. And for 2 weeks, I lived with my dad in a beautiful apartment. Then a knock on the door, this time not at 5 o'clock, at 7 o'clock. Belgian police comes and arrests me, not as a Jew, as a German. Ah, yeah? In Germany, I'm not German, I'm Jewish. But in Belgium, I'm not Jewish, I'm German, which I am. No, not anymore. I'm Australian now. So I'm arrested as a German and put in a camp with 4,000 Germans, communists, socialists, gypsies, retarded people. All the people running away from Hitler are with me. I spoke French. I made an application to the Belgian government. And I could travel every day to a university. I promised I'd teach young men engineering, and I perfected my French. 1 year it lasted, to the 10th of May, 1940. Hitler invaded on the 10th of May, Norway, Denmark, Holland, Belgium, France. Big battle, huge battle. And the British, French, and Polish armies were defeated within a week. Hitler went right through to the coast, from Germany to the coast, in every country. And with me there was a foreign minister from before Hitler. His name was Ertel. And I thought, I'll do what he is doing. The ship, there was a ship waiting for us to take us to England, but it was gone. So we went down the coast to Dunkirk. Maybe your commanders will know Dunkirk was a big battle. The British were defeated, and I can tell you on the beach in Dunkirk, I have never seen so many dead people in my life than there. And I saw Mr. Ertel taken the uniform of a dead British soldier, put it on, and walked on to a British warship, taking him to England. So I said, Eddie, do you speak English? You can do that too. So I looked for a fellow my size, and I found one. And when I wanted to pull his trousers off, wow, all his guts was in the trousers. He was killed by bullets in the back, and all his intestine were in the trousers. I couldn't. I walked for 2.5 months through the countryside of France. I wanted to go to half of France was occupied and half was Vichy France. It was doing what the Germans wanted them to do, but it wasn't occupied. It was Vichy France. And I came to a toilet. I had to go to a toilet. While I was in the countryside for 2.5 months, I never went to a toilet. I can tell you I never met nicer people than the French farmers. Every morning, when the sun goes up, 4:30, 5 o'clock, I passed a farmhouse, a man or a woman would shout, "Tu as mangé hier? Did you eat yesterday?" "No, come in." They never asked my name. They never asked where I come from or where I'm going. This is beautiful. You know, after the war, I was already married. I hired a little panel van, and I went to pick up the 16 farmers, but I could only find 12. So 24 people I took to the best restaurant and hotel in France. If I tell you how much I paid for one night or one meal, you fall off your chair. It calls King George V. It's the most expensive and most luxurious hotel restaurant in Paris. 12. This was my way of saying thank you. They never would go there, ever, in their whole life. They never been to Paris even, those farmers. But they were wonderful people. Now, already one couple died, but the others, every Christmas I send them a card, and they send me a card. See, it's wonderful to be nice. I'll never, until I die, will forget what they have done. And I'm the person who won't keep the contract. You're nice with me, I like you. You're not nice, I go, why? It's wonderful to be alive. Please, never say life is not worth living. I wished I could have your age. Well, that would have been wonderful. But that's not possible. So till I die, I will enjoy every minute of the day. Everything is lovely. I want to tell you, I believe if there is a paradise, the doors will open and will say, Eddie, come in. Hell you had on earth. I'll let you know when I get there. Maybe there is. They tell me there is a paradise. Don't know if it's up there or down there, I don't know. But maybe it's there. So you can hope. It costs nothing, hope. How we go right. I can't tell you all the camps I've been. I've been a camp in France. When I went in Lyon to the toilet, in France we go to the same toilet. We have no female and male toilets. Big toilet blocks. You go in, a woman sitting in the middle. You have to pay her 1 franc, 50 cents. She gives you a hand towel, and she tells you in which cubicle she wants you to go. But I had the coat. So she took the coat and hanged it up on a coat hanger. And I sit maybe 3 or 4 minutes. The French women coming, open the door, pull me off the toilet, punching me in the nose, and shouting, parachutist. This woman from the toilet, to whom I paid 1 franc, she looked into my jacket and she found my German passport. She went into the street and she shouted, parachutist. The Germans had lots of spies everywhere in each country. And they came by parachute. and they spoke the language, and they would be sent to places which are going to be bombed, and if the men missed by 20 meters or 30 meters, they were spies with two-way radio on special frequency, and they would tell the pilot, Hans or Fritz or William, come back, you idiot, you missed the building by 20, 30 meters. So they took me for a spy, another camp. From this camp I escaped. And I went back to Belgium, and I met my parents and my sister, and I lived in a very nice, not a nice apartment, but in an attic, which my father made very comfortable. We had no stamps to buy food, so I found a job in a cigarette factory. The man had no workers, only his sons worked with him, and there were no mechanics to repair his machines. So he said to me, Eddie, I need a person who come in at 6 o'clock at night. I give you a key. Nobody must know that you work for me. But it's curfew. When I go home at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, there are only 3 people on the street. This is army, police, and firemen. It's curfew from 10 to 5. So he said to me, you have to swear on the Bible. I will put a little capsule on your collar. If you go home and they catch you, you press the capsule, a little tablet will fall out, you put that in your mouth, and within 30 seconds, you're dead. I swear to you, if I was caught, that's what I would have done. But I was never caught. Hallelujah. I didn't have to do. But if I take my trousers off now, you will see on my backside a small mark, red, and then a big one. I had to go into a doorway because I heard a car coming. It had no lights. And a big dog, when I tell you a big, he had a head like a horse. He bit me and took out a little piece of my backside. And I was so worried. The next day I couldn't go to a doctor or to a hospital. So I went to a chemist. I bought myself a needle. And then to another shop, I bought some tetanus, if there's any nurses here. And I gave myself an injection. And you see, here I am. I have nothing wrong. I didn't get infection. So we lived in this attic. I got many, many cigarettes, thousands of cigarettes. I had a rucksack or a backpack in the front, in the back, and 2 bags. And I had to find a woman, an elderly lady who had a shop, a coffee shop, and a warehouse. And she sold the cigarettes for us. And she bought everything we needed, but no meat. I couldn't buy meat without stamps. And so one day, on the 17th of October, 1943, I come home 3:10. I thought everybody's asleep. When I switch on the light, 7 Belgian police waiting for me. Police, Belgian police, not Germans, handing me over to the Germans. Somebody told them that we are living in this attic. Why? I don't know. And this time it is to Auschwitz. This time you will never understand how people can do what they have done. Auschwitz is a death camp. In Auschwitz, 1 million people were tortured, killed, hanged, bashed to pieces. I became workshop manager for Bayer, B-A-Y-E-R. If you go in Sydney over the bridge, on one of the buildings is a big sign, but that big. And it's B-A-Y-E-R, B-A-Y-E-R. It's the biggest medical company in Europe. Here they make Baygon for cockroaches and Aspro Clear. They make this. I worked for them. I was in charge of all the machines. 200 machines working on air pressure. And I had a sign, if one machine stops, you hang me. Hang. So what you do? I made 200 whistles. Stainless steel tube, smashed one side, drill a hole in the middle, or not in the middle bit, close that end, and you know what was my little ball inside? The pips of cherries. That's the ball. When you blow, this goes like this, it calls me. It hits the balls and calls me. When somebody calls, because the pressure goes down, I run, I have to stop the machines. If I stop the machine, I can restart. If the machine stops by itself, all the machines have to be stopped, and I hang. So I made sure that everyone understands the importance to blow the whistle. It was hanging on around their neck. No machine ever stopped. But I had also access to a kitchen. And in the kitchen I had a boiler, and I repaired a pot, big pot. Because if you have 10 Jewish men from Germany, you have 2 doctors. You know why they're doctors? Because my father was a manufacturer of typewriters and sewing machines. He couldn't take the factory with him, but the doctor has everything here. He can go wherever he wants. All his knowledge is in his head. So we have a lot of doctors. And the doctors in Auschwitz are taken away every morning to German hospitals. And they get 4 potatoes every day. But they can't eat them, because you can't eat raw potatoes. Get sick. They come to Eddie. Eddie boils the potatoes. I charge 1 potato for 4. 3 for the doctor, 1 for me. So I have those pockets, and those pockets full of boiled potatoes. And the German soldiers have heavy boots. And in front of the boot, they have a piece of steel with a point. And if they don't like your face, they let you pass. And as you pass, they hit you on your backside, and you won't sit on your backside for 1 week. And you start bleeding. My best friend is in block 38. And one night, I go to him. It's snowing, it's cold. And I hear somebody behind me, boom, boom, boom. And I turn around. That's when the bastard wanted to hit me in my backside, but he hit me here. He hit the potatoes. He didn't know. And he hit me so hard that I fell over. So he hit those sides of potatoes and mashed them up, and I fell over, I mashed the others. So when I came to my friend Kurt, I said, Kurt, sorry, tonight is mashed potatoes. It's wonderful, you know. This camp was evacuated on the 18th of January, 1945. And they put us on the road for 90 kilometers, 3 days and 3 nights. We call this the Death March. No water, no food. We came to a border town between Poland and Germany. We were in a military building, and I was with my friend on the 2nd floor. And my friend says, Eddie, I cannot go any further. So I went down in the shower of this military building, and I saw a manhole. I found a ladder. I got up the ladder. I opened the manhole, and 2 fellows say, pfft, 2 men were hiding there already. So I left it open. I ran to my friend. I kissed him. I hugged him. I thought I'll never see him again. My friend was liberated 2 days after by the Russians. And me, idiot, another 6 months with the Germans. I was sent back to Buchenwald. In Buchenwald, you cannot escape. I had a motto, never be the first, never be the last, and never volunteer. I had to change this. A man came in the second night and shouted, "Is there a toolmaker between you?" Me. And I was sent to a small camp called Sonnenberg. And this was 200 prisoners only. And I worked for a company called Krupp, K-R-U-P-P. I worked from 6 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning, chained to a machine. Every 3 hours, a guard is coming and takes me to the toilet. And I have a bracket here. If I don't come out after 10 minutes in the toilet, he pulls the chain. Every time that he pulls the chain, he makes another cut. I had maybe 70, 80 cuts here. One night, my number is called. I must have made 7 mistakes. I still had a little bit of this rotten bread, like sawdust. So I gave it to a Russian man. I said, "Here, have my bread. Where I'm going now, I don't need bread." My guard came, undo my chain, but keep this one on this side, and took me up 1 floor. And he said, "Open that door." I opened the door. A man is sitting there with white hair, like I have now. And he said to me, "Close the door." And my guard is outside, and I'm inside. So I hold the bracket. This time I'm not working, I hold the bracket. If he pulled the chain, he won't cut me. And the man said to me, "Are you the son of Isidore?" Yes. My father's name was Isidore. And he started crying. And I was worried my guard will pull the chain for sure. I made sure I hold the bracket, no more cuts. And the man said, "I was a prisoner of war in 1918 with your father. I'm sorry what happened to you, but I can't help you escape. But I promise you, while you're in this factory, every night you come in, you will find a piece of bread I didn't have for a long time. Some porridge I had to take in the toilet to put more water because it was with full cream milk. And he left me some salami. Lucky I didn't eat the salami. I wouldn't stand here in front of you. I had a girlfriend, Helen. She met 1 week after the war. She met an American soldier. He gave her 1 big tin of corned beef. She ate a lot. She didn't even last 1 week. We were walking skeletons. When I tell you now, when I escaped, I weighed less than 30 kilos. Walking skeletons. After the war, I did not eat meat for 1 year. I was drinking 1 part of milk and 4 parts of water. And lucky that I have medical knowledge. Many people, for them, liberation came too late. They died. You will never understand what means Auschwitz. Auschwitz, we sleep 400 people in a block, naked on 4 layers of timber, like this. Your legs there and your head here. And if one of the 10 between columns goes to the toilet, when he comes back, shakes number 1 and number 10, they get up, crawl over the sleeping one, and push themselves in the middle. If you didn't shake them, you killed them. They are dead in the morning. They can only stay on the outside 4 hours. Then they start freezing to death. Every night, 10 to 15 people die because the people who came back from the toilet didn't shake them. But you can't help it. Sometimes Hitler has a bad night. He lost the Stalingrad battle. He rings the commander, shoot every 5th. And we have a little door. And they say, as you go out, they shout in the middle of the night, raus, means out. And as you go through that little door, you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm dead. Shot. And they come with German shepherd. We were 4 young Germans in Auschwitz, and 2 of them, after 6 months, they're holding hands and went naked to the wire. One touches with this hand, and they're holding each other, and the other with the other. 30 seconds, electrocuted, stuck to the wire. And many times when I was sick, I said to my friend Kurt, let's go to the wire. This war will never be over. We feel nothing. And he said, no. And when he was sick, he came to me. He said, let's go to the wire. No. Together. 2. Wonderful friendship. Best friend. When I met my friend in Belgium after the war, we were running around like this, kissing each other, sleeping in the same bed. Wonderful. Wonderful. Wonderful to be alive. I want to read for you a letter, a speech I have given on the 26th in 2010 to a big crowd in Sydney. There were consuls, German consul, Austrian consul, Polish, French, many, and a big audience. Because on the 18th of January, we celebrate the liberation of Auschwitz. And this is my little speech. Arriving with my parents and sister in Auschwitz after the selection by Dr. Joseph Mengele, my sister and I were by miracle chosen to work for Bayer. My parents were sent to the gas chamber. The days in Auschwitz start with a cold shower, bread and coffee, sometimes marmalade or margarine, then 7-kilometer walk to work, and at 3:30 again 7 kilometers back to the camp. In the rain, in the snow, in the cold, no more dressed than you are now. We don't even have so much. Despite the corporal and mental misery, the frightening smoke, the deadly smell, the temptation to give up, another one with a will I never knew I had, helped me to carry on the nightmare, like if someone else was enduring it. And despite it all, with hope, that hope which was every one of us to see the end and feel again like a man. It was no good to try to be smart, but smart enough to make some trinkets out of metal scraps in exchange for food with ordinary workers, as food was in our mind each minute. And yet, for the creatures we had become, we still had pity and a sense of camaraderie. We had feelings for the others and hope that one day this hell will end. Our motto was to hold on. Such was the most common expression used by people living in concentration camps. To hold on, it meant not die of hunger in spite of the scarcity of food. It meant to save everything, even the smallest crumb of brown bread, the last drop of rutabaga, broth, that when it seemed greasy was only poorly and synthetically rich. To hold on, it meant not to be killed by the bullet of a gunshot from a short distance, or one's liver burst by the murderous punch of a capo, or one's skull smashed by the hobnailed boot of an officer. To hold on meant to think I'm not hungry when one's stomach hurts. I'm not cold when one shivered, when one's hand, feet, and ears were completely numb. To hold on, it meant to have enough will to resist obstinately in spite of everything, whatever happened. It meant to keep one's face and one's mind, as well one's bones and the skin that covered them. To hold on, it meant at last to want to last. So as I told you, on the 18th of January, we were evacuated. And I went to a camp, Krupp. When this camp was liquidated, we were walking around in circles. There was nowhere to go. And one night, we didn't have much food, but we had water. The commander says, I found a horse, everybody gets a meal tonight. That was the sign for me, Eddie, tonight you must go. And I found, as we were walking on the road, 2 pieces of timber, which was the lid of sour cucumber. The Germans love sour cucumbers, and they made in wooden barrels, and they got a lid 1 inch thick, 40 centimeter diameter. I carried 2 with them, maybe for many kilometers. Every time we stop, I sit on them. My guards never knew that I have those timber. In Germany, the road is 34 meters wide and 1.5 meters above the fields. And from one side of the field to another, every 100 meters, is a big pipe, 95 centimeters in diameter, mostly full of water. That night when I went into this pipe, when it got dark, it was full. I was in water, cramped like that, just my head over the water. And I put 1 timber on my right side and 1 timber on my left side. And I blacked out. I don't know if I was there 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days. But when I woke up, 38 bullets were stuck in the right timber and 10 in the left. Now I know why whenever we stop and we walk away, 2 men stay behind. If I wouldn't have this timber, these people shoot first the right hand shoot above the water and then the left one. I wouldn't have the timber, my head would be shot in pieces and big rats would eat me up. That's why I've never seen coming out some people. I bet you many people done the same thing, but they didn't have the cover like I had. Or you have to have a snorkel, type be underwater, or you have to have protection for your head. I walked out, I was so skinny, and I saw smoke coming out of a house. I knocked on the door, a young lady opened. I said, please don't be frightened. Can you help me with a pair of shoes? I lost my shoes. She called the father. Father came out, he hugged me. He said, please stay with me. There are no houses for 15 kilometers. I said, no way. If a patrol car comes here, find me in your house, they kill me and your whole family. He gave me leather shoes. I threw away my striped clothes. He gave me a jumper. And he gave me a cap from a golf club with a shield. And he gave me leather shoes I didn't have for 5 years. And he told me where his high shed was. I stayed the night, and the next morning I walked to a forest. First night I went into a cave, I couldn't stay. Bats were flying around, hitting me on the head. Lucky I had no hair. They get into your hair, you can't get them out. They stick. The second night I was in a cave, no one would find me there, no one. I stayed 2.5 months, eating big snails, escargot, raw, and slugs. Yeah. They didn't kill me. It's the water I collected from a creek. This water was poison. I became so sick. I said, Eddie, if they shoot you now, they do you a favor. You're going to die in this cave. I decided to go to the highway, whatever happened. On my hands and my knees, I made 80 meters to the highway. Took me a full day, so weak I was. And the highway is that high. So I had to go a bit further and pull myself up on some bushes. I put my head on the highway. I'm in front of an American tank. The war was over for a month, and I didn't know. I collapsed. Those lovely American soldiers, I don't know where they got the blanket from. I woke up after 1 week in a German hospital. First, when I opened my eyes, I thought, Eddie, you're cuckoo. Yesterday, I thought it was yesterday, I was in this cave, cold and dark. Now I'm in a bed with white sheets and cushions, and nurses are running around. You're mad? No, I wasn't mad. And this Professor Hoffmann, a German, comes every morning at 8 and every night at 6. And I ask him, Professor Hoffmann, what are my chances? As soon as I ask, he walks away. But we have a night sister. Her name was Emma. Wow, she was so tall. And she came to my bed in the middle of the night, and she wanted to see if I breathe. You know, when you are very weak, you don't see that you breathe, because you breathe very little. So she put her ear on my blanket, and I grabbed her arm. And I said, Emma, I'm not letting your arm go before you tell me what he tells you. And she bent down so nobody hears, and she whispered in my ear, 65% you're dead, and 35% you live. And I made a vow to this man up there. I say, lieber God, if you help me to come out of this hospital alive, I promise you, I will never ever put my foot again on German soil. That's what I'm doing. Thank you.